that tracker's going to have our age next to it, right?
I'll get with Rob and see if they're gonna track those metrics as well.
Yeah. Look at those poor old bastards out there.
They're going to be betting on me to have a heart attack. He won't make it past mile 20. He's going to drop dead.
Welcome back, everyone. I am super excited to have the No Zero Days team here on the podcast. To give you a little frame of reference, if you've been following us, I've been super involved in the Larkin Invitational Adventure Race, which is going down in mid-June in Colorado. And we have a team local to Colorado. They are currently the leaders of the fundraising efforts for the Larkin charity event. They are number one on the board, and they're bringing a diverse blend of experience to this race. And I'm really excited to see how this plays out in a couple weeks. So we have No Zero Days. No Zero Days team, would you guys mind giving yourselves a brief introduction to our listeners so they can hear about your background and how you came to be involved in this Larkin event?
Yeah, you bet. And thanks for the opportunity to get together. Sam Piccolotti, I'm the founder of No Zero Days, lifestyle fitness brand that I started. It came from a mantra that I'd used back in 2001, where I made a commitment to do something every day in the form of fitness. And I've kept to that creed now since August of 2001. And several years back, launched that off as brand. So you listeners can find No Zero Days at nozerodays.com. My introduction to the race was through a conversation with the race director, Rob Sweetman, I think 2 years ago, when he had the concept of building this race. And he and I had just chatted about the concept, and I shared some experience with race directing. And those conversations kind of grew into a formulation of the event and then the offer to participate. So I immediately called the rest of these guys up and said, hey, there's a 62-mile adventure race that I'd like to get into, and I'm looking to build a team.
I don't think you use the term adventure race. I think you just say there's an event next summer. Do you want to do it? Yeah, he was pretty vague about it.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, but you were the A team. He's like, hey, who am I called? These are the top lists.
So right, we're his only three friends.
At least for now. We'll see how that stands up on June 14th.
June 14th,
yeah. So, John, you got the call. You mind telling me about that, your background?
Yeah, so just kind of real quick, Sam and I met probably, I'm going to say close to about, 17, 18 years ago. Our daughters were both in a swim club team. And I think we were the only two dads that would go to swim meets. It was all moms and Sam and I. So we kind of became friends as strength in numbers, right? So Sam and I have known each other again, 17, good 17 plus years. I've always been into cycling, endurance running. I've run several marathons, half marathons. Sam's talked me into a 70.3 Ironman. So, again, just trying to find ways to do different things, whether it, again, cycling or running or whatever. This is actually new. This is new to me. But I know Sam and I, we're both 62. I know he said this when we were 50, we were going to do a 50-mile run. And 12 years later, we still haven't done it. And so this year he said, hey, we were going to do a 62-mile. We're going to do a 100K run. And then this popped up and turned out to be, it's 62 miles. It's a little different, but yeah, no, I mean, Sam's just and not to plug Sam too much, but he's he's a great inspiration, great motivator. And I think anybody that hangs out with him just kind of feels his energy and wants to be better. And so when he called us, he called me last summer and mentioned it. And I said, I'm in. I didn't even know what it was out. I just said, hey, if you're doing it, I'll do it with you. So.
That's super awesome. Yeah. And just from the limited interactions I've had with Sam, I can definitely feel that energy currency and everything. And it makes sense. I mean, you had a few years delay, so you had to do a little bit of interest, right?
Yeah. A lot of interest, I think.
Yeah. Super excited to have you guys. And just you guys got the background too. Like you're not coming into this blind. You've been training for these things for quite some time. And that'll transition us over to Sean. Sean is doing a great job to make this work. He just came off of doing sailing instruction, so he is in the beautiful lake right now as his setting. Sean, do you mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about how you got involved?
Absolutely. Background, I retired from the Marine Corps in 2018. Currently work as a structural engineer. I've done adventure races, Ironman as well. I don't know. I know, John, you've known Sam a little bit longer than I have, but you're going to hear a trend here. We met and had conversation over the concept of no 0 days. And it just fell in for me because that's what I was doing before Sam put a name to it, a little bit of motivation. So when he called me, I was all in from the beginning. So looking forward to doing the race. I think probably for me, when you think about, I've done adventure races, but it's been a while. And I've not done an adventure race when I was 60 years old. So I'm looking forward to bringing that to the mix as well.
Awesome. Yeah. So just looking at the roster, I think you guys are probably the oldest participants that are going here. How do you think that's going to kind of play? Well, mine is Matt.
Don't forget about the baby in the group.
Right.
We got a baby with us.
I'm getting ahead of myself. Before we get there, let's introduce our outlier here, Mr. Matt. Sean, thank you for your service. And Matt, I understand you serve as well.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I'm currently part of the 919th Special Operations Wing down in Dukesfield, Florida. My background is healthcare for a majority of my life. I wanted to join the military when I was 18, when, Afghanistan, all that stuff popped off after 9/11. And I wanted to be a SEAL, actually. My parents said, absolutely not. So cheated on. And as I got older, I got married and I looked at my wife and I said, hey, I want to do something special at, the Air Force. So I joined, we toughed it out. Started out as EOD, switched over, trying to do pararescue, and then now TACP down in Houston. Done some contract work for the Department of Energy. Really enjoyed that, doing some nuclear protection. And I really love healthcare. I love the aspect of healthcare, taking care of others. So Sam and I have known each other for a while. He introduced me to some swimming. I came to him. He was also, a stud in the water, I could tell. So I reached out to him, said, hey, I need some help swimming. And gave me some pointers and took off from there. And we've known each other for a few years in and out of the gym. And it's been great knowing him. He has a pretty good following, a lot of good people. Obviously, the no 0 days goes to my heart too, no days off. But super great guy. Love to be a part of him and know his family. And, his son's in the Coast Guard doing some really cool stuff too. But, I'm really great to be a part of this team. Sam asked me to be a part of it. And absolutely, first time I said, without a doubt. So super excited for the team. I love the other two guys. I haven't known them very well, but as we've been training, it's, evident that we all have the same passion for the same things. So can't wait to get started. And I can't wait to see everybody in June.
Yeah, that is awesome. I'm super excited to have you guys on there, and you guys are crushing it. You guys are the number one earners. So here's fundraisers. We have a little bit of a trifecta. We have age, but with that age comes experience. And you guys are all native to the area, so you're acclimatized to the elevation. How do you feel like all of these factors are going to play into whenever the shoes meet the trail and you guys are out there doing the 62-mile race?
Well,
I would.
let me just. I'm gonna let you guys chime in on the acclimation thing, but I'm gonna hit the age thing real quick here. I just want the other guys to know that when you see us old guys out there doing the same thing that they're doing, just know we do it in a lot more pain.
Right.
We recover slower.
And Sam, what is pain?
Pain is just weakness leaving the body. Sean.
There we go.
I thought it was one step closer to the grave.
Well,
no, what are your thoughts on, we live, I'm sitting here right here, think about 6250 in elevation. I've got a lot of experience up high, as do the rest of these guys. But what's the team's thought on that being an advantage, being here in Colorado and, living roughly around 6,000 feet or so?
Yeah. You want to go, Sean?
no, go ahead.
No, I think really, it's one thing to train at, 5,000-6,000 feet. It's another thing to do something at 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 feet or, even, 14,000 feet, it's going to be hard. I mean, no lying about it. It's going to be a challenge. But I think the biggest thing the advantage that we have living here is just that we kind of know what to do. We know when, hey, we got to throttle back a little bit. No, we need to keep our heart rate. We just understand that a little bit better. Sam and I, we've done a race multiple times down in the Telluride area where, we peak out at just over 13,000 feet, 17 miles from Uray to Telluride. Check it out. Imogene Pass run coming up September 12th, actually, this year. So, but again, I think for all of us, I would just say that we just have the experience to know that, hey, we're at altitude. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to watch ourselves and just, hey, we don't need to push too hard. We just need to be steady. So,
yeah, they communicate with each other is a big one because these guys have more altitude training than I do. So I think, just keep tabs on each other, make sure we communicate with each other. As it goes, communication is key when it comes to a team. So I really look up to these guys, especially when it comes to altitude training for myself.
Excellent. Yeah. And you are, go ahead. Send it.
I guess the one thing I'd augment that with is I agree with Jon saying the altitude training certainly will help, but I think we bring a whole bunch more than that. The teamwork, dedication to teamwork. And when you're older, you've had a lot more opportunities to stub your toe along the way. And so we've had a lot more opportunities to kind of overcome stubbing your toe. On a race like this, I fully expect you don't escape this race without a few significant challenges, either to your team or to your person. And that's what I'm really looking forward to, is taking those challenges on head on.
Absolutely. And that's such a great mentality to have. And coming from the Marine background, you're no stranger to that, and just getting in there and realizing that you are challenging yourself. You've challenged yourselves for your entire lives. So that leads us a little bit more. We'll do a little deeper dive into that no 0 days philosophy, because I feel like it just kind of leads right to it. Do you mind telling us a little bit more in depth on no 0 days, what it means, and how you're using that to help other people improve their lives?
Yeah, thanks. I had in my 20s been introduced to early 20s, the sport of triathlon. It just kind of on a whim. I'd been asked, I was a pretty good swimmer growing up and had fairly successful experience in high school and on the early master's side, did not swim in college. But during those college years, I had a cousin that was a former junior pro cyclist who was putting a relay team together for a triathlon and asked if I would do the swim. And I didn't know anything about the sport. This was 1985. Didn't know anything about the sport of triathlon. And I said, how far to swim? He said, a mile. I was like, yeah, okay, I can bang that out without much training. And anyway, didn't go well. I got into the water with the lead group team members and competitors rather, and I got maybe 400 meters into swim, and I'm a lifelong asthmatic, and I ended up with an asthma attack and tried to focus on getting the next buoy, and it just wasn't going well. I ended up getting pulled and put in an ambulance, and that put me on a path to I figured didn't work, but I thought, man, maybe if I just do more of what's hard, I'll be able to overcome the asthma. So I just started training my ass off and swimming, biking, and running, and thought, I'm going to tackle this thing and see if I could just overcome it. I did my first triathlon the following spring, and I got hooked. That led me on a path of, I was really enthused and excited about the sport. It gave me a place, both mentally to, put my energy in physically. And then, life got busy. I got married. We started having children. My career had taken off, and I was overwhelmed with the amount of responsibility that I had. And my interest in exercise or training had started to fall off, and I wasn't able to keep pace. It just so happened that summer, my wife's niece was hiking the Appalachian Trail after graduating college. And I read the book, Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson, was really inspired with that concept, right? Not just the physical feat of being able to walk several thousand miles, but having 3 months to be able to go on an adventure in the woods and have that experience. So as she was coming through, I lived in Pennsylvania at the time. As she's coming through Pennsylvania, we met her and some of her trail mates for a backyard barbecue to kind of celebrate their trek. And by my account and reading the book, no expert, mind you, but I thought, man, they're about 30 days behind schedule, meaning that they're going to hit winter conditions before they get to Katahdin in Maine. And so I had asked Kelly, I said, Kelly, do you think you're going to make it to Katahdin before the snow flies? And she said, I don't know. We've had a lot of 0 days. And I immediately started thinking, like, how could you do that? How could you just like not get up and get a mile in, or, you have such a trek ahead of you. And then I started thinking about my own excuses in life at that point with training, because at that point, especially in the triathlon world, more was always better. So I thought, if I did not have 2 straight hours for a bike ride or 30 miles minimum, wasn't worth even getting on a bike. If I couldn't get in the pool for an hour, it wasn't worth getting in the pool. And I thought about that mentality. I thought, no, I'm going to change that mentality. I'm going to do something every day, regardless of the amount of time, even if it's just 10 or 15 minutes. And so that became my mantra. As that grew and people started reaching out to me and in sport and other things and asking, hey, what's your training program like? And I shared that philosophy with them. It started to resonate with other people. And then that led me to sharing and kind of branding, and I do some personal coaching along with that. But it's been as much of a mental benefit for me as a physical. Obviously, staying fit and doing something every day has its benefits on the physical side. And I've seen that long term. Consistency is power for sure. But for me, it's also been a coping mechanism from a mental standpoint to be able to say to myself, okay, look, if you didn't get that 2 hours in today, you're still good. You still got some time. I have time to do push-ups and I'll get back after it tomorrow. So that's kind of the background on the philosophy.
Super fantastic. And there's so many deep points that you brought in there. I'm going to kind of explore a couple of them. The mental aspect, I think, is absolutely huge, and it ties directly into the event race that you're supporting. Ryan Larkin's history of complex PTSD, traumatic brain injury, and how these can affect one's mental health. We also have Mr. Anderson on here, who's got his background in medicine, so he's very well aware of a lot of these things. And I love the philosophy. Super incredible. One of the more impactful books that I've read is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And he explores some of these details that you're keying off of. And with that mental bridge is I found that kind of what you're saying, the no 0 days, making some type of progress or doing something in a category, regardless of what it is or how expansive you might categorize it. It's that consistent effort compounded over time. So whenever I had my health crisis, I can directly tie developing some positive habits by forcing myself, like you're saying, is to not have a 0 day in it. Hey, what do I need to do for my mental health? What do I need to do to pull myself out of this hole? Some days, maybe I made huge progress. Other days, maybe I just studied a language on a language app and I checked that box. But I made some type of progress in the field that I knew that I needed to find healing and to get better, self-treating, if you will, and not self-medicating, completely different things.
Well, yeah, it's my medicine, right? So I understand what you're saying by self-medicating and negative contrast that can present, but I'll turn it around and say, I have used it in the form of medication. This has become my drug. This is my go-to. And I appreciate what you just said there on the mental component, because, that has a lot to do with where this all came from with me. I was able to take, a lot of strife, a lot of frustration, a lot of things I dealt with in early years of my life, and manifest them into a discipline, if you will, that was self-help. So it has created a discipline for me and giving me the compounded ability, not just physically, but mentally, to keep myself in the game, give myself that awareness, and really, a little bit of, I can give myself some credit and allow myself to take credit for what I've accomplished every single day. And that's where the confidence factor is really built in so many of us, right? It's just, we all self-judge and we're self-evaluating on a regular basis. So it's given me the ability to have a little reprieve, give myself credit, and then I move on to the next day.
That's fantastic. Yeah, the confidence builder, huge. So, Matt, you also have an extensive background in medicine, and you are exposed to some of these mental health challenges either through your daily work or by proxy. So I'd love to kind of hear your take on some of these topics that we've been getting into.
For sure. I read a book. I gave it to Sam, I think probably a year ago. It's a book written by PJ called Never Quit, and kind of tailor that to everyday life, whether we go through challenges, whatever it may be. I'm probably gonna get emotional. My mom died recently, but tailor that to everyday life. Help others, just like the PJ motto that others may live. Always do something for everybody else. You never know who you're going to meet. Be kind, and seeing those challenges at work, wherever it may be, somebody's always hurting, and somebody's going through something you don't know what they're going through. So I think pushing on and being strong, following a no 0 day attitude, use physical fitness as a medicine, and just take care of each other. I think that's how I try to live my life, for sure. Use that strength as a background, for me, and, keep pushing forward.
That's fantastic. Yes. Thanks for sharing. Sorry to hear about your mother, but we really appreciate your courage getting out here and getting involved and putting your shoes to the dirt and making
Right.
things happen.
Right.
Jon, quick question for you. What would you say your biggest motivation is for jumping in, getting involved in this? I know you said it was to honor that 50-mile commitment, but now it seems like the scope and not just the distance, but also the purpose behind the event has kind of scaled. So what would you say
Yeah.
your biggest motivation is now with how it's developed?
Well, I think the biggest motivation, honestly for me is to prove that I can do it, regardless of what my teammates say. There's always a little voice in the back of your head, questioning yourself. I think it's going to be different this time. Like when I've been running marathons, as I'm getting closer and closer, and I could say, well, I can do anything for 10 minutes. I can do anything for 20 minutes, right? You can do anything, right? You just got to keep pushing yourself on. This is a little different from that aspect. But I think the big thing, honestly, is, again, just being, like I said, just knowing Sam, being around him just makes you better. There's been many a days Sam and I probably talk 6 times a week. Probably talk 6 days a week. And like, did you work out? No. He goes, you got a minute? And I go, yeah. He goes, go do push-ups. So just to be better. But the other thing too is I really think understanding the purpose and the goal of what they're doing, what the whole event is, with the Ryan Larkin. I never served, I know when I was, 18, if I would have gone in 18-year-old, I would have been in the stockade brig. I'd have been scrubbing toilets with the toothbrush because I was a snot-nosed punk, and I would have told a general to go F himself, I'm sure they would have beat that out of me pretty quick. But again, never serving, I appreciate what Sean, his boys are both in the Marine Corps and serving our country. And again, with Matt and, all of that stuff. Our military, our police officers, my daughter's a nurse, hospital workers, they just don't get the appreciation that they deserve and the gratitude. It's just sad that some people look down upon these people that give us the ability to have the freedoms that we do, to go out and do the things that we do. And so again, understanding what this whole event is for and the purpose of it, that's my motivation, really, is just to give back to those that have given me so much, right? To live in the country, to live in the United States, to be able to do the things we do, to be able to, have our free speech. So that's really it. I mean, it's really just, I want to give back. I want to give back because these guys deserve it, and men and women deserve it. So
That is extremely well said, and thank you. It's very heartfelt. I can totally feel your energy from it, getting goosebumps, because you're right. This junction in life right now, there's so much counterculture and cultural wars going on that can really degrade that, but it's very encouraging to know that so many people still hold those sentiments regardless of what we might be being blasted with through the media waves every day.
I really think the majority of us feel that way. I think the media just shows the splinters on both far left and far right. I think the majority of us, but a lot of people are just afraid to speak up and stand up and show our support for the men and women that protect us every day.
That's so refreshing to hear. And that kind of leads into sacrifice, because if you are speaking up, you're putting yourself at risk. You know what I mean? You're making yourself a target. So
Right.
we have Mr. Sean, who has got a whole career of sacrifice and service to the country. So would you mind bringing your perspective into this dialogue?
Certainly. 100% on everything that all three of these guys have mentioned already. I think, to me, as we were talking, what's the best way to kind of embody this? And I think when someone says you're on a battlefield and they say, who are you fighting for? And you obviously are fighting for your country. You're fighting for your freedoms and everyone else's freedoms. But at the end of the day, you're fighting for the brother that's to your left and the brother that's to your right. And I don't, having been in combat, I do not want anyone to misunderstand what I'm about to say. This is an adventure race. This is not combat, but it's going to put us in a spot where we're going to feel a lot of those stresses and those appreciations and those perspectives. And we're going to be fighting for one another. And echoed with regards to the cause, I told you when Sam said, "Are you in?" I said 100%. And then when he said, "Hey, this is what this event's going to do for others," I said, "Now I'm 300%." So to me, you can't get any sweeter than being able to do the things that we love to do, challenge ourselves, and help a whole bunch of people in the mix.
Yeah, amen.
Well,
Fantastic.
well
Yeah.
said.
So with that being said, those are huge, huge. So what would you consider your biggest win? Like if what you guys are going to get out of this? Because one, you're doing it for a great cause, and they're already going to see the benefits of it. So you've won in that aspect, raising awareness, raising funds, treating people who actually need it, get through these huge challenges that they can incur after surviving some traumatic incident and a career of getting after it. So that's already a huge win. So for you guys as a team or individually, what are the big wins that you're hoping to get out of it for you guys personally? Because we thank you 100% for what you're doing for the collective. How does that apply to you guys?
I think, for myself, honestly, I think the biggest thing that I think that I'm going to get out of it is I'm going to get a lot closer to these three gentlemen for the 3 days that we're spending together. So, I look forward to that. But I think we're going to make a ton of relationships with all the other participants that are in this. And, again, I think it's just going to expand our network of people that we know. Yeah, like I said, I think it's just going to open up my eyes to a whole bigger world that's out there that I'm not aware of. But I look forward to getting to know these three guys a lot better than I do already. So I think that's a big thing for me.
I think for me, it's going to be camaraderie, not just our team, but just even the other teams we're competing against. To know some of the people, Sean and everybody who's just taking charge of this whole thing to raise awareness for this whole good reason why we're doing it. I would like to participate more and do more as we go along, not just this race, but to continue to do more for these guys who, we're doing it for. So I'm super excited to learn more about these three guys and the other teams as well. I know they mentioned some fellowship a few of these evenings. I think that's going to be a great thing as well. So I'm super excited and I can't wait.
Excellent. Excellent. How about Sam? What you got?
Well, I'm going to share a quote, and then I want to kind of lean into what both these guys had said as well. In suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance produces character. Character produces hope. And I really think that's been very true in my years and experience of doing hard things. And I've guided a lot of people through tough events and some tough personal issues. And, the one thing that I found in all of that suffering is that if you can find purpose and really lean into purpose, that becomes your strength. And in this event, I think the purpose is very clear. Rob's made it very clear. He's incredibly passionate and devoted to what he's doing with this RLIAR event, 62 Romeo. And I've known him just long enough and from afar, really just admired the amount of dedication. He's tireless in his efforts and the time that he's put into this. And I know a little bit about how much that time wears on you, especially when there's not a lot of personal financial gain to come out of these things. So that purpose is very clear. I'm going to lean into that. I'm going to lean into the purpose that he and others have put into this and try to be very observant of that in the process. In addition to that, it's obviously spending time with these guys. But I'll tell you, I've already had a little interaction with some of the other team members. And man, I'm just really looking forward to sharing that brotherhood and getting amongst these guys. At the end of the day, I know, everybody's going to throw down hard. That's going to be enjoyable, but it's going to be a lot easier when we're leaning into the purpose that we're leaning into.
Absolutely. There's a rock star lineup on this race thing. And you guys, again, are in the leaderboard. So it's freaking awesome to see. And I know you guys are going to do great. And you're right. There are some great, great people that are going to be there. I'm super excited to meet everyone there as well. Sean, how about you? What's your big win takeaway out of this?
I think, as everyone else has said, the relationships, strengthening those relationships. But I'm going to go back to something Jon said in the very beginning, and it's not an I, it's a collective we. And to me, crossing that finish line with these guys, knowing that we're going to have to at some point bolster one another up, to me, that is what I will walk away with most satisfied.
Excellent. Excellent. I love it. Purpose, relationships, getting that big, hey, we did it. We did something hard, something challenging, something that, we question, are we getting through or do we have it in us to survive? The grit factor. And then getting there with your brothers, making it through is an incredible achievement. And you guys have already achieved so much just getting here, which is fantastic.
Hey, we're not done yet.
Well,
Absolutely.
platinum.
Yeah.
Platinum.
Yeah.
Platinum.
I love it. I love it. Hitting the platinum. So, Sam, you are also a race director. You also coordinate and manage your own adventure races. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about your experience there and answer if you believe that background is going to give you another edge in participating in a race like this.
Yeah, I never set out to be a race director. That kind of happened certainly wasn't circumstance. I've been around too long to believe in circumstance anymore. But in 2000, boy, Jon, I think it was 2019, February.
Yeah.
I'd been searching for a new challenge, personal challenge. I was kind of in a rough place mentally at that time. And I'd reached out to I contacted the Ultraman guys in Hawaii about doing the Ultraman Hawaii. And they said, yeah, you could put your application in. You've got to go do another Ironman in the next 12 months or preceding the event. And I was kind of done with that. I've done Ironman. I was like, well, I'm not going to go do an Ironman just to prove that I can go do this Ultraman. And so that didn't really resonate with me. I was kind of laboring on what kind of challenge can I come up with. And I literally woke up in the middle of the night, February of 2019, with the idea of doing an off-road Ironman above 10,000 feet. And I quickly looked and I'd not seen anything like it online and thought, okay, that sounds like a really cool challenge. And as a child, I'd always wanted to live in the Rocky Mountains, and it had been an aspiration of mine for many, many, many years. Leadville, Colorado, which sits just over 10,000 feet, is an iconic place for endurance sports. They have Leadville 100 mountain bike race up there, Leadville 100, whole series of just high adventure alpine racing. And one of the inspirations for me and my longtime ambition to move to Colorado was the film Jeremiah Johnson. And when I said, I don't know, are you familiar with that film? Jeremiah Johnson, Robert Redford.
Robert Redford.
Yeah, look it up.
Will Gear.
Still my favorite movie of all time, but that movie struck with me as a kid and implanted a seed in the ambition to move to the Rocky Mountains at some point. And it just so happens that the character that was based on the real Jeremiah Johnson spent some time in Leadville, Colorado. So when I came up with this idea, I was like, that's perfect.
Did he
miners?
save miners?
Jeremiah Johnson was a mountain man.
He was a mountain man, yeah.
Yeah. But the town of Leadville, mining town. And as a matter of fact, many, many of those miners came from the same area, valley that I did in Pennsylvania. So it just seemed like, boy, this is going to be a legacy kind of a thing. So I thought, I'm going to give Jon a call and see if he wants to do it with me. And,
I can't swim.
and
Sam
so
can attest
awesome.
to I can't swim.
and he usually bites right into things, but he was kind of stammering on that one. And anyway, in 2019, it didn't happen. I was a little disappointed with myself for not taking it on. And 2020 came around in the pandemic and things got quiet. And I continued to train and do my thing. And the trails in the wilderness even got quiet. People were afraid to go outside. It was just a crazy, crazy time. But I started going up to Leadville and scouting around and looking at how I might be able to put this race together for myself, or this challenge together for myself. And I'd come up with a course, and I set out in just a few weeks after, a little bit of training up there and navigating and scouting, and thought, I'm going to see if I can get this thing done. So that was early August of 2020. And Fortunately, I had a couple friends and family members that had come up. I was going to go do the damn thing by myself, but my son, who's much smarter than I am, said, "Dad, why don't I come up and help out? Like he was at college at the time." And I said, I can take some video and hang out and help you with crewing. And man, I'm really glad he came. I came out of the water in that 2.4 mile swim. I ended up swimming a little bit longer with stage 3 and 4 hypothermia and got myself in real trouble. And I'd lost all my motor skills. I couldn't speak. I was in bad shape. They got me turned around. I went on to finish that thing in 29 and a half hours. And through that process, I had come to a real realization that I was chasing struggle in the wrong way and suffering in the wrong way. And it allowed me to reposition myself mentally and emotionally and how I was kind of handling things. And it gave me an immense set of gratitude for people who cared about me and family and friends. And so I really devoted myself to gratitude at that point. Consequently, people ask me, like, "You going to go do it again?" I'm like, no, you know, and I'm a bucket list guy. So, there aren't too many things I repeat, but I got pushed to consider putting it together as an event. And so the event came out in 2022. I had 6. It's called the Mountain Man Invitational. I select just like this event. There's a qualifying component that has to come into place to identify the potential athletes that might be able to take on that challenge. I had 6 on board. I ended up with just 2 women that year. All 4 men had fallen out. We ended up with 1 finisher, and that female that finished is world-class. Matter of fact, she's a world-class adventure racer as well. She was down in the middle of the woods from midnight to 3 o'clock in the morning with altitude sickness, dehydration, and exhaustion. I thought we were going to have to evac her out, but we got her back on her feet. She went on to finish that event. That had grown in momentum and continued to pull on the support of friends like Sean and John in volunteering and many other folks. And consequently, we've had 5 of those events so far. They run. I'm not going to have one in 27. Conditions up there are not good this year. We're in need of water. But in 2027, we'll be back to put that race on. How that's going to help me, I think whatever knowledge and whatever I could share, I think I've given to Rob, which is not all that much. He has taken what I know about race organization and just taken it to a whole nother level. So I really commend and have great respect for what he's been able to accomplish in a very short period of time. But, the personal experience in going through these events and understanding the ups and downs and the mental fatigue and components that come with trying to manage that, I think are going to help us. I think are going to help me. We'll see.
Absolutely incredible.
Just to kind of play on Sam, he mentions that he did it the first time by himself, but I think it just goes to a tribute to how Sam touches everybody that gets to know him. I mean, he probably gets, I don't know, Sam, what, 35 volunteers that we give him 3 days of our time to come up there and just help him out and do whatever he asks. And I think, again, it just goes to show that when you get to know Sam, he's a friend for life, and you feel, I don't even want to use the word obligated. You feel honored to have him reach out and ask you to do something, and you just want to do it. So, I mean, I think it just kind of goes to show it just talks about the character of Sam, and just wanted to throw that in a little bit.
And well stated and well deserved too. Phenomenal individuals. Each and every one of you guys are powerhouses. And I'm super honored to have you guys on this show and promote everything that your guys are doing, not just for the race, but also in you guys' individual lives and the work that you guys do. I'm so excited to have you guys. I know you guys have some timeline constraints, so I don't want to hold you too much, but I do want to ask, there's going to be a lot of exposure. They're watching you. They're tracking you. This is a simulated event. So there will be donors who can donate money and things like that to continue this going on. But what's one thing that you want the audience and the observers to know about you guys as teams while they're watching you on the trails, going through the challenges, and being the men in the arena that you truly are?
That tracker's going to have our age next to it, right?
I'll get with Rob and see if they're gonna track those metrics as well.
Yeah, look at those poor old bastards out there.
They're going to be betting on me to have a heart attack. He won't make it past mile 20. He's going to drop dead.
Yeah, we gotta look to see what the
They're going to eat
numbers
the
on this
weakest
thing are,
one.
Nah. Yeah, it's a really interesting concept, man. He's put together quite a complex operation. It's impressive. I don't know. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for those that are viewing and watching. We track our athletes just from a safety perspective when we have the Mountain Man. We don't make that visible to the public or, to participants. And certainly haven't had the thought to put the fundraising component to it. So it's
Maybe
really,
you should, Sam. Maybe we can bet on athletes next year.
Yeah, it's just such a great and unique concept. I love the fact that he's put that dynamic in there. There's a little bit of intimidation that comes with that, right? Being timed and watching, having people know and watch your success among others, but all good. Like, bring that on. We're ready for that.
Absolutely.
What are the Vegas odds on us, guys?
Yeah. Run the sweep. Matt, you got anything that you want the observers, the audience to keep in mind while they're observing you guys' progress?
Just obviously knowing that we're going through it, whether it's tough, how bad it is, but ultimately we're having fun and that we're just doing it for the right reason.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anybody have anything that they want to say before we wrap things up?
No, thanks.
Appreciate you having us. Yeah, this is awesome. Appreciate it.
Yep. Absolutely. So I'm excited because one, like you said, you're here for the right
You're going to be there?
I will be. I'm going to be one of the shift supervisors.
Fantastic.
Wow, look forward to meeting you in person then.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, likewise. I'm really excited to be there with y'all and see everything that's going on. So you guys mentioned, hey, we're there for the right reasons. And I truly believe that. You guys are there honoring the memory and continuing the legacy of Ryan Larkin. And you're doing it all in the spirit of elite performance and service, which I think is extremely commendable. I love everything that you guys bring to the table and that passion that you have behind it. And thank you so much for entering the arena and doing everything that you guys do, not just for this event, but in each of your everyday lives, because you guys are all very highly specialized and you bring a lot to the table there. You're not just doing it here in the event, you're living it every day. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Brent. Look forward to seeing you.
Yeah.
We'll see you in Telluride.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
See you in a couple of weeks.
See you soon.
Excellent. You guys take care.
Yeah.
You too.
You have a
Stay
great
safe.
day. Take care. See you guys.